I'm 7 seconds from home free, but I know, like I've always known, that what got me here won't get me there.
Hi, my name is FAYLITA HICKS, and this is the Writer's Tarot. This reading is going to be for liberation. This is what I'm calling the Liberation series. And this is going to be specifically for November 2nd through November 8th. This is going to be a weekly series in which I do a reading around the liberation movement and people who are active in the liberation movement. I am going to start with people, and then I'll go into a wider scope of what's happening overall and try to give some perspective on that, right? This is going to include folks who identify as abolitionist, people who are grassroots organizers. I am also doing this for people who are doing the legislative work. So any sort of policy analyst, any sort of attorney, any sort of person in a nonprofit, anyone who is attempting to do the work, whether it is walking door to door in the community or it is talking to Congress folks. This reading is for you. Okay. And this can include creatives because I am a creative. I call myself an artivist. And that means that I use my art to enact and inspire and inform conversations around legislative change. And so can include artists for sure. But the point of this is definitely to talk about this very hard part of liberation. The concept that has always been with me is that liberation is an initiation. In order for us to imagine a post-carceral future, we have to be able to meditate on what liberation is, means, what it feels like. And that includes being able to access the spiritual parts of it. I think that legislation, especially in our federal government that tries to separate the spirit from the human experience, it just seems a little ridiculous to me, right? Because we talk about our spirit as a nation, and we talk about manifesting our destinies, which is the literal name of a piece of legislation that was trash. We talk about what it means to be a citizen of the world and what it means to be a citizen of a nation, and all of those definitions vary wildly, right? And some of them are very exclusive, but the most exclusive thing that happens is this idea that our spirit is in no way connected to what we decide is right and wrong for the community at large. And I think it's really important that we reconnect those things. And so hence my tarot readings. This is the first time I'm doing this specifically for people in this field. And I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous, primarily because I always open up with the ancestors. And we're going to pull a card. And if I need to do any sort of clarifications, I will pull additional cards. But this is asking the ancestors to give me some sort of message for this particular reading in which liberation is the focus, in which we are imagining the future. What brings us closer to that future of liberation? What brings us closer to that post-liberation future, right? Like we've been liberated and now we're living in the life that is best for us and that is best for the collective as opposed for the individual. Tell me more about that and where we are in that story. I love this card. This is from the Hoodoo deck. I will include links to the decks just in case you're interested in learning more about the decks. And this deck is my primary deck. And so this is a card that I love to see when I get it. And it's the Mother of Baskets. And in this image, it is a person with long flowing hair. They're wearing a dress. They've got some beautiful red flowers down by their waist. But behind them is a moon chart, and the moon chart is a divination tool that's used. The description of this card has a lot to do with trusting in your dreams And in particular with this person, they like literally reaching their hand out. So it looks like they're asking you to walk with them and to go with them into the dream, right? Because there's a lot to be said about dreaming, right? Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream. It doesn't matter whether or not you agree with all of his actions or all of his, all of his political beliefs. There's something to be said on all the things, but what is important is the part of the dream, right? Where does change start? Where does any major creation, whether that is like something like a piece of paper or a book or a song or a community center or a piece of legislation, where does it all start? It starts with a dream. It starts with a desire, and it starts with something, an imagining of what it can be, of what is possible, right? And this is an initiation. It says, I need you to dream with me. I need you to come with me on this journey and dream with me. I am going to go ahead and I haven't pulled out any clarification cards for the ancestors yet in my readings today, but I'm going to pull a clarification. Can you tell me a little bit more about the dream? Almost all of the people depicted in the Hoodoo deck are people who are either formerly enslaved or who are the immediate generation after those people were no longer enslaved. All right. And because that one wanted to come out. Okay. And they're telling me one more. Got it. First time I'm doing this, so they'll let me know what the next thing is. And what I'm seeing here is the next one we have is the Nine of Sticks. It did come out reversed. And it shows a person is sitting with their bonnet. They got their beautiful dress on. They got a Bible in one hand and they got a gun in the other. And this is my set it off card. This is the card of set it off. Are you ready to set it off? And this is Nine of Sticks. And behind this person are 9 sticks, and on each stick is a skull, right? And this is very representative of, it's not just me when I go into this fight, it's me and all of mine, right? All of the energy that I have and all of the fight that I have, it's me and mine coming, right? And so when it's upright, it means that you're ready to go. You is ready to go. You is connected. The gun got what it needs inside of it. The Bible got what it needs inside of it. Everything is ready to go. But when it's reversed, it's saying you're not quite ready. Now, it's important to know that when it comes to hoodoo, the Bible isn't just, it's a tool that is used for divination. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible, but that wisdom isn't just particular to what we might consider today Christianity. Which is really a conglomerate of a lot of different spiritual practices and beliefs and a lot of different modes. All of them are kind of mixed in there. And that's why the Bible can be such a useful tool in terms of divination and hoodoo. This is about carrying the wisdom of the people who've come before and the wisdom that is embedded in this large book, which is why it's so popular, and the multiple versions of this book, right? It's about carrying all that wisdom and being ready to use that just as quick as you're ready to use your gun, which can mean physical weapon. But I don't think it means that in this card. For the most part, when I see things like this, it doesn't feel like a physical object. It feels more like are you ready to do what is needed to be done, even if it hurts someone else's feelings, even if it hurts someone else's financial standing. And I don't want to encourage people to be all willy-nilly about it, and we're going to talk about that. But it does say that you're not ready. You're not ready. You need to get ready, but you're not ready just yet. The next card that came out was the Son of Baskets. And it says, good news, you're going to be ready soon, but we really need you to meditate on why you are doing this. Right now, the message that's coming to me is that we get so focused on using anger and using grief as a motivating principle and as a motivating element to the work that we do, that we forget that we need to really be thinking more about joy. I do this so that joy can be attained, not just retribution, not just revenge, but I do this for the joy. I do this for what comes after liberation. I do this for the peace. I do this for everybody having the resources they need. I do this for the love that comes, when everybody has what they need, right? And so this is a young person is walking. They've got a basket full of flowers, and they got it from this waterfall. And again, the history of this card talks specifically about the waterfall and how these particular flowers have to be collected during a full moon, which takes us back to this card, our initial card, which is the Mother of Baskets. And so it's very much about you are going to move forward quicker if you change the motivation behind what you're doing, right? Especially when it comes to like local legislation where everything is personal, because we know the people who are running city council, because we know the people who are working inside of the sheriff's office, because we know the people who are doing the harm, and because we have relationships and histories with them, right? And so there can be a sense of betrayal and a sense of like anger associated with those relationships, and learning how to replace that anger with them and the decisions that they've made that we feel and we know harm the people in our community. Replace that with the love that we have for the people of the community. Like, don't let this be what guides you. Don't let this anger, don't let this disappointment be what guides you. Let the love and the joy be what guides you, because that's what makes us different from the people who continue to harm us right? There's a group of people who harm us legislatively. And they do it out of spite, and they do it out of anger, and they do it out of disappointment, and they do it out of not having enough in their own cup. And it's important that we fill our cup so that we never do it out of the place of lack, that we do it out of a place of wholeness and out of a fullness and out of a joy and a genuine love, right? And so replacing those two, especially and I'm feeling specific to this, especially for a lot of young startup, fresh, ready to protest in the streets. A lot of people got activated with the George Floyd protests. A lot of people get activated with all of the recent events that are happening. A lot of young people specifically. And when I say young, I don't necessarily mean in age always. I just mean people who are new to new to life, or new to this perspective of the world, and understanding what are the dynamics that are at play that lead us to these places and to these particular harms. Right? A lot of people who are new to that, they start with anger, and that is a valid place to start. I want to make sure I'm clear. That is a valid place to start. What I'm saying and what I'm trying to communicate and what your ancestors are trying to communicate is that cannot be where it all ends. It cannot begin and end with anger. It has to begin, yes, be mad, get upset, get activated, but also recognize that you got to elevate that and turn that into love. I'm not just mad at you for what you've done. I love my people so much. I'm going to work as hard as I can out of love, because love is what feeds you more. Anger might be what starts you off, but love is what's going to keep you enduring during this long process that has been centuries long, right? This is not new. This is every century has its stuff. The centuries long process towards healing and towards liberation. The next card that came out was the 7 of Coins, and it also came out in affirmative. 7 is it's one of the numbers that is very popular for perfection. What I love about it is in this card, there is a person who is bending over. They're wearing a very fancy blue dress. The hair is very fancy and shiny. They got jewels and stuff around their neck, and they're building up to pick up pearls that they dropped on the ground for pigs. Insert meme here. Literally, they are picking up pearls that were thrown to the pigs. And in front of them is all of this wonderful bounty of a harvest of, there's grasses and corn, some sort of wheat and corn here. And it's filled with pentacles, coins. And so the seven of coins, folks. And what I'm hearing is that stop giving away all of your energy to all of the folks who don't deserve your energy. If we spend more time exerting energy on the negative folks, if we keep giving them all of everything we got, if we miss out on birthdays because of evil people, if we miss out on dates, if we miss out on graduations, if we miss out on community events, if we miss out on all the good, happy stuff because we're spending so much time trying to take down all this ugly over here, then we're giving our pearls to the wrong folks. We're giving our precious time, which is finite. Time is finite, right? Let me be even clear, because technically time is not finite, it's infinite. That's a scientific thing there. Our time in this current body is finite, right? We know that this particular body changes every 7 years. We know that happens. That's a natural thing that happens. And that's how we come to the end of the chapter of this life in this body, so on and so forth. This time is infinite, and that makes it sacred. And if we are given all of our pearls, if we're given all of our minutes, if we're given all of our hours, all of our days over here to this negative stuff, they're just eating it up and they're just wasting it. They're not, holding it as the preciousness that it is. We have to make sure that we give more time to that love and to our community, to our people, and to ourselves, right? We have to make sure we give more time to ourselves, because that's where the real change is going to happen, right? If we can heal ourselves, which means that we can also heal our families when we do so, because nothing is better than a healed mama working with a healed daughter, right? That relationship then turns into mini seeds, because when she's healed, now she can heal her friends, right? Now she can heal her partners. Now she can heal her other community members. And it just goes on and goes on. And when we're all healed, that's when we get to the post-liberation. That's when we start looking at like, okay, now we're in the future, past, post-carceral, right? So I hope I'm not going in circles for you. I hope this is clear for you. What I'm saying is balance your time and recognize where you're dropping your pearls, and pick up your pearls if you need to. Especially when you work in grassroots, the staff is small, the hours are long, the needs are constant, and it can be overwhelming. And that's how so many people get burnt out, which is why it is critical that to prevent that burnout, that you pick up some of them pearls and be like, look, I cannot. If that means that we can't do all of the actions that we want to do, that means we got to bring more people in, whatever it means. But we have to balance our time between all of the fight and all of the ugly with all of the love and all of the good, because that is what we're fighting for, is for this, not for this, right? So I'm going to move on. Next card is the Son of Sticks. Came out reversed, and this was at the bottom of the deck, which is just kind of like a general feeling, a general thought, a general idea about what we're willing to take in and what we're willing to release. This again goes back to balance. This again goes back to where we're going to put our pearls, right? Because in this card, this young person, this is a very young person. They're standing in this open field after it's already been harvested. And there are 3 red speckled snakes, and I'm not going to go into the details of that. But the person has 6 fingers on their hand, and they are showing off their 6 fingers, which means in some cultures, especially within the Black community, in many African communities, African American, however you want to define that, in many communities, 6 fingers means that this person is imbued with special power. This person has a special talent for understanding both this world and the next. And above their head, they're holding a scythe. Scythe? I should know, I'm a writer, but I don't. I've never really had to say that word out loud to other people. Scythe? I don't know. But they're holding it. And so when you take a look at the image, it shows them having one hand in the air and the other is showing their hand. And so this could be everything from stop, or I will, or I will attack, which brings us back to this card, right? Mama, stay ready, could bring us back to this card. But really what I feel, and what the first thought I had was the Magician. And the traditional Magician card and the tarot deck, the Magician, typically, and I rarely see it where it's not like this, the Magician has one finger pointed at the sky and one at the ground. And it might be that they have like a wand in the air or something else is pointing at the ground, but it's this balance of receive and release, You cannot hold the power only within. it's a constant transference. You receive the power and then you release the power so that you can receive power yet again so that you can release it. Right. And so this, when you take it into an even larger context, and let's be a little bit more literal, this is why we talk about term limits, right? Receive the power, do what you can with it, and then release it to someone else so that we can then receive the power again and then release it again to someone else, because it has to be shared. Because once you try to conglomerate that power, once you try to put it all in and just keep all that power, one body is not enough for all that power. You've got to share it. If you try to hold on to it and you try to keep all of it, then you overexert yourself, right? This is again about burnout. When we are doing this work on a day-to-day basis, and I said grassroots organizers, but I know it's not just grassroots organizers who feel this. I know this also has a lot to do with attorneys. I know this has a lot to do with people who are working in grassroots nonprofits. I know this has to do with a lot of people who are just, they got a small staff and a very specific goal and a very specific idea. And instead of trying to find and innovate how they are incorporating the community into the mission so that it can be a shared responsibility in an equitable and sustainable way, there's this like need to like, I'm the only one who can do the thing. I'm the only one who knows how to do the thing. And I'm the one who's most hyped to do the thing. So I'm going to do the thing. And if you always the only one doing the thing, what happens when you're gone? You haven't taught anybody else how to do the thing. You haven't shared the responsibility. You haven't shared the resources. You haven't taken the time to teach. You haven't taken the time to share or to encourage someone else to get ready to hold all the information that you got, right? And so it's really important to understand how power works and how to innovate power within our structures, within our communities, within our organizations, so that, again, we can operate differently than the people who harm us, right? Because the people who harm us, they show that the way that they operate is that they take power and then they hold power, and they do not disperse that power. That power stays within. It stays within their organization, or it stays within their family, or it stays within, like, you know, this particular demographic. Like, that power does not get shared. It does not go anywhere else. It stays here. If we want to break that down, we need to be sharing. We need to do something different. We don't need to redo what they're doing. We need to do something different, right? So you can't just be passing your power along to just your friends, or to just somebody else who has a great resume, or just somebody else who has a certain degree. No, you need to be innovating it and making sure that power is being spread equally, if not equitably, right? And so that is the general. They had a lot to say. I'm glad they're excited. So I'm going to put that here. We're going to go to our overall. Nope, not that deck. Okay. They were very quick with that one. I didn't think we would be here so soon, but I'm going to go ahead and jump to my other deck. This is my voodoo deck. I have several decks, and these are decks that I've chosen for this reading. I might change out the decks over time. I am going to do this reading weekly. But this deck is one of my most powerful decks. That's why I was like, I didn't expect to be here just yet. This is one of my more powerful ones, and that's because it is the one voodoo. If you don't know anything about voodoo, just like you may not know a whole lot about hoodoo. Hoodoo is very much about the American version. It's not just the American version. It is the voodoo is inclusionary, right? It includes the lessons of many cultures and of many traditions that are rooted in African practices, right? And it kind of is what came up out of, our enslavement and being moved around the world. Hoodoo is saying, I do not have all of the resources that would traditionally allow me to do some of the voodoo work. So I've integrated my experiences and the resources I do have into my practice. And so there's still, there's still a structure, but that structure is a lot looser in hoodoo. When in voodoo, there are structures, and those structures are multiple, and there are some more rules and things like that. But for the most part, this is like it's the card already came out. It's the market. It's the big place you go to learn and everything that you can. I can't take all of those. If you could just give me a couple more. And so I was going to do a structure here, but now they're just dropping cards. And so I'm asking them for at least 4 more. Can I have 4 more, please? We got 1, 2, and 3 more. Oh, I said 4, but I needed 5. 2 more. I got that one. Okay, and 1 more. Oh, okay. I like it. And 1 from the bottom. Yep. Okay, so in this deck, what we see is a combination of practices and orders. I'm gonna do my best to keep this to the very basic understanding of it instead of going into great depth for each and every single card, because there's just literally not enough time. And I am still an apprentice in many ways. I don't know if that's the best word, but that's the word I'm choosing for today. So we've got our Petro, and this has the Hungan on it. And in the traditional tarot deck, we would know this as the Prince of Wands. And the Prince of Wands is about movement, and it's about forward movement. And the Wands in particular is like, imagine, quite literally, imagine someone who receives a message in the morning that something has happened. And instead of like calling up the community to have a conversation, they go ahead and grab the face mask and go out by themselves to charge into wherever they need to charge into by themselves. There's always a time and place for that. This, when it comes out reverse, says this is not the time and place. So for this upcoming week, if you experience a situation in which you feel the need to get going right away, check yourself. Check yourself. Do some internal questioning and let that fire simmer just a little bit. Let it cool down just a little bit, okay? In fact, they want that to be the catalyst for you, okay? This very next card is the Petro Hunsis, which is the messenger. And so this would, in the traditional tarot, be the Princess of Wands. I believe in the divine feminine, divine masculine, and in those ways that there's a lot of definitions within those. We don't have time. I'm trying to get you the message. This also came out reversed, which means that you may be missing really important information. So if you jump into the situation too soon with too much heat, it's not going to work out for you. Right. So that means that if you have an action, like something happens, you decide to have an action right then and there, and or within the next day or two, or you start making all the moves you need to make, making all the phone calls and organize all the things you need to do. What's going to come up is that there was some information that you were missing that you really needed, which would have really contributed to your effort. And so don't do that. Don't do that. Take a chill pill. Rest for a second, because there's more information that's coming to you. And that information might just be the wisdom of time, right? In which you'll receive more news. And that additional news will only help to contribute to your work. And that's because the very next card you get is possession. Now, the numbers, I'm not great at numerals. And the thing with this deck is this deck likes to give me all kinds of new names that are outside even the non-traditional cards. It's a whole lot. And so I'm going to go ahead and be wise and pull this up. Yeah, strength. Okay. So the strength card here, which is showing up as possession, is very much about gathering strength. Gathering strength. And what that can look like is it's hard for you to do a long-standing action if you haven't rested, if you haven't slept, if you haven't eaten. When was the last time you listened to a song and danced? When was the last time you laughed? It is very hard for you to jump into an action and be effective at that action if you don't have something positive to root yourself in, which takes us back to our 7 of coins, right? And the conversation that we were having here. It's very hard for you to do your job and to be in that, what can sometimes be like very stressful to your body, heart, mind, soul. It's hard to do that if you're not also laughing and dancing occasionally. And what happens is that you help to build up the right kind of energy to do the work. Because there are many kinds of energy, right? Some of it comes from, I am thriving on coffee, and caffeine has given me this excited but jittery energy. Or I am high on life because I just won an amazing award and it's going to take care of this, that, and the third. And so my mood is lifted, and that is a different kind of energy to root from. Or like for us creatives, like, I am raising this energy from my imagination. I am gathering that energy and I'm playing with that energy, and I create it and it turns into an album. This is the same thing. When you are gathering energy, if you are gathering it out of rage, that rage will be short-lived and it will not be sustainable. If you are pulling it from your desire to live, which is very interesting because they're related, but they're not the same, right? If you are pulling from the energy of I need to live, that energy is much more than I am angry. And it is much more sustainable than I am angry. And so there is this need for possession. Allow yourself to be possessed by the right energy, by the energy that is going to sustain you long term. And what I love about this is because the actual sacrifice for this particular card is quite literally dance. Wait, no, that's a different card, but it's like right next to the dance card. And so, but there's all this movement in it. And I'm not going to get into the wonderful Panther Puma. I can never tell in these cards, Panther Puma, one of those into that, but, strength, inner strength. Now, the next card that came out was the Market, and I brought it up, but the Market is one of my favorite cards, and I'm glad that it's making its face shown here for this reading in particular, because every time I get this card, this is what I think about when I receive this card in my personal readings. The Market is a card. It's got so many people in it, and they're in a circular. It looks like they're sitting on the surface of the sun, and there is, there's just stand after stand after stand. We see some people in purple robes. We see a lot of pots, and we see some animals, antelopes. We see some wands. We see some people getting materials. We see some food. But the shape of the card and the shape of the scene, and the importance of the Market is understanding how we all need each other. And when we say that, sometimes we keep that as a big idea of, yeah, we need to lean on each other. Yeah, I got it. But no, the fact is we actually need each other. In order for so-and-so to get up on a stand and give a testimony, someone has to, one, feed that person, right? That person has to be fed. That person has to have had some rest. That person has to have had some, probably some training. That person probably needs also some therapy because, getting up in front of folks who do not care about you is pretty damaging. It hurts everything, right? So like there's a lot of resources that person needs just to get up on the stand. Sometimes we only think, well, it's just going to be a testimony, but we're not thinking about the fact that that person had to like leave their spouse at home, and their spouse is going through something, or the kid is going through something, or their car is broken down, or they're missing out on this doctor's appointment to go do this thing. Like there are a lot of other factors that are leaning into that, but understanding that in order for us to truly, again, operate differently than people who harm us, we have to like think bigger. We have to go, are all of your needs being taken care of? Are all of your needs being taken care of? Are we feeding into you as much as you are feeding into our work, right? And again, this is where I start combining everything from attorneys to grassroots folks, because I know a lot of grassroots folks who are just so focused on the mission and so focused on getting the work done that they really forget about, in some cases, showers, and they forget about like, did you eat today? When was the last time you went on a date? Did you get laid? I need you to go get laid, right? Like all of these other human things you got to do that will give you the strength you need to do the fight. And the fight is important, but again, you need the full circle of all of it. When we have the Market, it's saying that we all quite literally need each other. We need someone who can sit back and videotape. And we need someone who can get on the stand. And we need someone who understands the actual language in the legislation. And we need somebody who can translate that to like regular folks. We need people at every different aspect, and understanding that even if your role isn't in front, doesn't make it any less valuable, right? Even if your role isn't seen by the general public, isn't known by everybody in the community, it's still valuable and is still a part of the process. If your role is to bring the food to every meeting, congratulations, you are a critical part of the whole movement, right? Because we forget to eat when we're in it, right? We forget to rest. You bring the food, man. If your role is to come and bring the incense and do a prayer, whoop, we need that too. We need that too, because we need to know that our ancestors are healing through the work that we're doing. We need to know that our people are healing through the work that we're doing. And this helps to remind us, right? And so understanding that there's so many different roles to play within the community and within the effort, and accepting that there's no one role that is more important than the other roles. There are many roles, and all of the roles are important. And if we lose one, then everything else starts to falter. If your organization is going through some trouble, the real question is, what are we missing? Who are we missing? If every single meeting you have, it's only attorneys, and only attorneys who have never had experience with incarceration or with being detained. And when I mean experience, I mean firsthand experience. If every single meeting only consists of people who studied the law via book and, via video or via watching it happen to someone else, but not someone who has had that direct experience, you're missing something. You're missing a very critical element to this, which is that first person narrative, which is the story that needs to be told. So to help translate that legislation in a meaningful way. I'm getting into the weeds here, so I'm going to go to the next card. The next card is going to be Marie Laveau sitting in the high priestess position here. Also right in the center of the reading. You can kind of see my cards here. Yeah. Right in the center of the reading. And Marie Laveau is in the up position and is opening the curtains of conch shells and staring you hard in the face. And I also think that's appropriate for where we are in the reading. I like that. Okay. So when Marie Laveau is showing up in the reading, it's very much about, you say you want change, but do you really? Because if you do, I'm going to show you what it really takes. And what it really takes is something you may not be willing to give, right? This can look like saying that you want to have equity in pay throughout your entire staff, but not paying your interns. Or saying you want to be more inclusive in your projects, but requiring a college degree. Right? This is where you have to really take a really close look at what you say you want and what you're actually doing. And this means being completely honest with yourself in a way that can be devastating for many of us, right? If you say you want liberation, but you are only ever focused on the energy of anger and rage, or you say and you're only ever focused on what other people are doing to harm, and you're never focused on what people are doing to heal. If you never turn your eye to what people are doing to heal, that energy is imbalanced. And if there's one thing I love about voodoo hoodoo, all of it is this need to walk in the middle lane, right? You need to have both. The power lies in being able to walk in the middle. Again, and being able to receive the power and release the power. That means you are the channel itself. You are the actual matter through which things must come through. And so if you want to manifest liberation and you are only ever focused on carceral nation, if you are only ever focused on carcerality and never looking at liberation and defining and imagining and feeling it in your body, what it might look like, feeling it in your body, what it might feel like, the joy that comes with it, you're imbalanced, right? You're missing on something. Your spirit feels it and your body feels it. And that's how we get burnout. That's how we lose some of our great people doing the work. And so it's asking you to get real with yourself, because once you get real, once you go behind the curtains, once you start really asking yourself, am I doing this for applause? Am I doing this because I want people to take me seriously and I want people to like me and I want people to think I'm about that work, but I actually haven't made the changes in my own personal life or in my own personal approach to the world to make that happen? Like, am I actually being real? I even wondered about doing the tarot and all of the work that I've been doing, because a lot of my stuff ends up being public, and I have to ask a question every single time. Am I doing this for the applause, or am I doing this because this is the work that needs to come out of me and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's helping me to reimagine, a life post-carceral and to imagine a liberated future? What are my actual intentions? Where's the root of it? Is it in personal, calling, or is this in a need to feel accepted or liked or whatever? And that questioning, it gets hard because you're like, yeah, I want to be seen. But you know what? It doesn't matter if I'm seen. The truth is, it should not matter if I'm seen, because I am just one of many and I'm an iteration of many. And so asking these hard questions, that's what it's asking you to do. The next card that's coming up is the Congo, and it's the 4, and it's La Baline. And this card is, in the traditional deck, this is going to be the 4 of Cups, which is about opportunity. And it says, when it's reversed, missed opportunity. And the story behind La Baline is that La Baline goes down to the very bottoms of the waters and comes up with a message. And this message is something that can only be learned from the ancestors, can only be learned from the land, can only be learned from, our Orisha, the people who come before, the people who are present in spirit, right? And coming to the top, and when it's reversed here, it definitely feels like there's a missed message, that we haven't gone down far enough. We haven't gone into ourselves. We haven't allowed ourselves to get into our spirit enough to hear the real message that needs to get said, to do the real thing that needs to get done, right? If you're not breaking out into dance occasionally, even when you're by yourself after a bad day, how are you feeling yourself in your body? If it's not dance, maybe it's stretching, maybe it is, a massage or something, but you need to be feeling yourself in your body. You need to be grounded. And if you're not ever getting into your body, if you're constantly thinking up here and you're constantly operating with like torso up, and you're never getting down into the bottom part of your body because you've cut that off because it's so, what's the word? Sometimes when we're doing this justice work, we feel like there's a whole part of us that gets cut off, and that what gets cut off is everything lower, because that is the entrance and the exit of the body. Those are 2 of the entrance and exits of the body. It's also the part that is still considered very private and should be, kind of shielded or hidden. And it's not considered an important part of this work that we think is very much up here. But the fact is, no, we need to be whole. We were cut off by the people who harm us. We were told that only part of us was important. We were told by them that only up here, that's what's important, not everything else. And it's really important for us to work against that, to be present in the whole thing. And that means going deep down in to get the messages that are already hidden inside of you that your ancestors are trying to provide. So missed opportunity. Don't miss this opportunity to go in and ask that question of yourself. This is why I said these cards are so powerful, which is why I've been talking about them for so long. The next card that comes up is the Petro Mambo. And she is quite literally dancing. She's got her legs wrapped around the neck of a snake, and they're hanging out over this red water and this grass in the background, swampy water. And the snake is whispering into her ear. And this would, in the traditional deck, be the Queen of Wands. So in this position with it reversed, it is very much about the fact that there is a disconnect. And until we learn how to connect with our full selves, and when we say our full selves, we don't mean just in our mind or just in our spirit. We mean in our physical bodies and accepting that the body cannot keep operating at 15, not even 10, at 15. We cannot keep operating at 15 if we are not taking care of ourselves. And so there is a real need for you to get rooted and to get into yourself and to give yourself some rest, but also a need to connect to one's sexuality. It's already came up like several times in the low, but it's coming up again for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Understanding that your sexuality and your sensuality, those are two separate things, of course, and that it doesn't matter what your sexuality is, but your sensuality is always going to be critical and important. Understanding that that element and that part of who we are is about being very present in the body. And even if there is a history of harm associated directly with one's sexuality or one's sensuality, that healing that and that giving that special care to it is going to strengthen you for everything else you need to do. It doesn't matter what your job is. It doesn't matter where you've got to travel or who you got to yell at or who you have to have a conversation with, or it doesn't matter anything that you got to do. You need to be present in your body. One of the things I'm thinking about right now is specifically is the thyroid. Is it thyroid? No, it's the lymphatic massage. Lymphatic massage is very much about connecting with every part of your body, and quite literally from fingertip all the way to elbow, moving everything that's moving inside, and then massaging the lymph nodes, and understanding that that's how the internal parts of our body like drains mucus and drains all this stuff that gets all clouded up in our bodies. And I've been sitting in this chair for several hours, but I've gotten up at least once every hour because I need to let my body move. I need to let things, get moving around in here so that I can get rid of all the things I no longer need, all the toxins I no longer need in my body. And the concept is true. Like if you can get rid of some of the toxins that are like being stagnant in your body by actually touching on your body, by actually massaging your body, by actually having, someone else help to massage some of that out of your body, that will actually help you emotionally as well, right? Because sometimes, and I say sometimes, but we know that our mental and spiritual anguish lives in our physical body, right? It starts here and it exists here and it can stay here, but we've got to start letting it go. That's a part of healing. And when we heal, then we impact other people with our healing. And so it is a very important element of the work that we do. If you are constantly up here, they need you to start paying attention to everything else so you can get things moving. If you are having a block, and I know this is probably hard for some people to swallow, but you're here on the channel and you know tarot. So, you already knew what it was when you got here. If you are having a block when it comes to some sort of strategy and you are running up against some particular problem again and again and again, or there's some sort of any sort of problem you haven't been able to figure out the answer to, or been able to like get through reading another memorandum of some sort. If you're having those problems, I would definitely suggest that you take some time to hop in a bath or give yourself a shower. And when I say a bath or a shower, I mean a mindful bath, a mindful shower. If it's something you can do, get a massage, okay? Get somebody else to touch your body, even if it's not in a sexual manner, even if it's purely for the sensual and for the medical benefits. And I'm not a medical professional. This is just like, friend to friend. I'm just saying that you should go to a professional and have a professional work you, however you want to define professional, work you out, work out the kinks, because you can't figure out the problem because you got all these blocks. And so work out the blocks. Moving on. Get into the sexuality politics. And I don't mean sexual politics. Anyways, so the next card is the Hugon of Congo, which again is the and I said that right. No, I didn't. The Hugon of the Congo, this is normally the King of Cups, and it also came out reversed, which tells me that it's seems like alongside all of the other issues that are happening for you within your organizations and within your actions and all of the other stuff that you're doing, there's some sort of loss. And I haven't read any sort of romantic in anybody else's stuff, but it keeps coming up in this one. there is some sort of loss in the belief of intimacy and the belief in love. And when I say love, I mean romantic love. Some sort of loss in a partnership of some kind, and it feels like a romantic partnership, even though it might possibly be like, an actual partnership with a company or something like that. But it feels like the personal loss is triggering and feeding into the anger at the people who harm us, and that is not the best way to grieve whatever has been lost. So if there's been a recent breakup, or there's been some sort of harm that's happened, whether that's like, outside of everything, or that's within an organization, or, whoever, if there is some sort of loss of trust, loss of relationship, loss of love, loss of intimacy, any sort of that, don't let it feed into the anger of the work that you are doing for the community. Again, they're saying that you're going to receive the most amount of energy by taking your pearls and giving it to the love, taking your pearls and giving it to the light, taking your pearls and giving it to the folks who need your pearls, and not the folks who just eat and shit that shit out, aka the pigs from the card. See what I did there? Anyways, and so it also feels like that might be in some way related to a loss of a child. And again, this doesn't necessarily mean death. It doesn't necessarily mean a finality. It kind of feels like it might even be like, I started this thing and now it's way out of my control, and I have no more energy to fight for it. And I loved the thing that I started, and now it's not mine. And now I can't do this anymore. And having to step away from that, right? Maybe it's like a friendship where like there was someone you were very close to for a long time, and now you've learned something that is preventing you from being able to move forward in that. There's something that was created that felt very important and critical and brought a lot of joy into one's life that is now leaving. And it feels devastating, and it feels like that is feeding into the wrong energy, that is feeding into that rage. Again, your rage is valid. Feel your feelings. Exist in your feelings. I'm not saying not to do that. I'm just saying don't let it live there forever, right? Just as you receive power and you release power, receive your feelings, feel your feelings, and then release your feelings. Because your feelings are only one part of who you are, right? And only one part of what you're trying to do. And you don't want that to lean you don't want it to become a distracting element that keeps you from your own personal liberation. Because to a degree, I believe we can manifest liberation in our lifetimes. And so part of that is finding your joy, holding on to your joy, manifesting your joy, just like we got here with our Shilobo. I cannot say all these names. Shilobo Novavu Dani, which is the Six of Congo here, which in the traditional deck would be the Six of Cups, which would be about a past joy coming back into one's life. A past joy being, in this case, it does feel like it might be like you lose one person or friend or intimate partner, and something comes back around and you're like, I did enjoy hanging out with you. I don't know why we stopped hanging out. We should hang out again. So you get a new one. And that new is actually something related to someone you met before, something you did before. If it's a project, you're like, you know what? I had this idea for this concept, but I never had time for it. Now I done lost this job, or now I'm leaving this organization. Maybe I can do that project I was thinking about. Maybe it's time for me to do that other thing that I really like, that I never did, that I should do now, because I have the ability to now. It's a return to some sort of joy making. And it does feel like it involves other people, which is why I was looking at the card like that. I'm pretty sure it involves other folks. And in the card, since I didn't describe the card has a person hanging out in the waters. A person is named Danny in this card. and they are quite literally bathing in the sun. So every time they pick up water and put it in their hands to rub it on their naked body, they've got the sun. It's like fire in their hands, but it feels good to them. And so like they're literally just bathing in the sun, literal fire in their hands. And they're like, this is nice. I like this. This is good. And so it's bathing in the joy, bathing in the light, bathing in what it means to just be in your body and be comfortable with that and be good with that. That's what I got for that. We are hitting our mark already. Oh no. Okay. I'm going to do 3 more cards. So, I'm hoping that it won't always be an hour long when I do these podcasts and these videos. This is just our first time. This deck that I'm pulling from is for letting go, and I'm asking specifically for liberation for the people who operate and work towards liberation. And in this reading, what is it that they need to be looking at releasing? So help me to figure out what it is they need to be releasing. Okay, you are definitely trying to come. Okay. But I feel like there's one more with this one. So can you give me one more? Okay. All right. So I've got the first card says initiating friendship. And it says, today I will pay attention to my behaviors and actions as I form new friendships. I will notice whom I'm attracted to and why, and not worry about whether the other person likes me or accepts me. If I make a mistake, it's okay. I learn something valuable from every interaction with another person. And so this feels like there is potentially an opportunity for you to do some networking and or to actually meet someone and to work out some of that healing we were talking about as part of relationship building. So instead of operating in the way that we typically do, which is like, I'm too tired to try to figure out if you're doing the work I need you to be doing, right? Which sometimes shuts us off before we even begin when it comes to meeting new folks. And I can say this again with some personal experience where you show up to the conference and you're like, you look nice, but like, I don't have enough time or energy to try to figure out if you was a real person or not, and entering into any interaction with that kind of attitude, as opposed to entering into the interaction with, you know what, I just want to learn more about you and I want to make a new friend, or like, can we be friends? And then let it happen more naturally, right? But leaving yourself open to connection, leaving yourself open to building, again, because when you put your energy in the wrong place, of course you're going to be tired all the time. But if you start putting your energy into, I'm going to have a great time, I'm going to meet somebody dope, and I'm going to have a great time, that's going to change your energy, right? Because now I'm investing it in something that's closer to the liberation I want for my people. The next card says taking risk. It says, today I will ask God, and I mean, when I say God, I mean GAWD, the God of self, as opposed to GOD. Today I will ask God to help me begin to take healthy risk. I will ask for assistance in letting go of my fear of failure and success. I will ask for help in fully living my life so that I can start experiencing all the wonderful parts of my journey. And that's really the big part of it, right? There's a risk in letting go of anger. If you let go of anger, other people will not understand. If you let go of pain, other people will not understand because they are stuck in their pain and they want you to be stuck in your pain so that you guys can share that and have that in common. But if you start saying, you know what? That sucked. I hated it. I was angry about it. And I felt all my feelings I had about it. And now I don't want it anymore. Now it's not mine. Now I'm ready to go on to the next thing, whatever that next thing is. Right? That is going to change your whole entire life. And it is going to be a risk because you might be the only one doing that work in your family. You might be the only one doing that kind of work in your immediate office. You might be the only one doing that kind of work in your immediate community. And it might be hard to feel like you got a lot of people who understand you if you're the only one out here trying to heal. And that's gotta be okay, because what you're meant to do is something much larger. I'm going to ask this deck. This is a brand new deck. This is my it's the Afro Goddess Oracle deck. This is the first time I am ever shuffling these cards. First time I am ever pulling these cards. This is a wonderful deck made by a Black creator on Etsy. I think I got this off of Etsy. No, I went to the website. I found it on I found it on Instagram, went to the website, had to get the cards, and I'm not reading from their tarot cards, but I am going to read from the Oracle deck. I just really was like, I need to know you, and I need to know this deck, and this deck is bomb. So I'm hoping the Oracle cards are just, one more for them. One more, please. Oh, okay, well, thank you. All right. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Now, all right. So I'm going to do an interpretation of what I see in the cards, and then I'm going to read their descriptions. And that's because right off the back, we got the moon, and the moon is a card that in traditional tarot very much talks about what is hidden coming to the light. It also, in my personal context, when I think about how literal space operates, dark energy and dark matter, it was only in the last couple of years where they started to go, hey, all that black stuff out in space isn't actually space, and it's not actually empty. It's technically dark energy or dark matter, and it weighs way more than any of the stars that are out there, and it takes up more space than anything else out in space. It just doesn't have a mass. It's extremely heavy. It just doesn't have a mass. And it's extremely bright, but we can't see it because our eyes are unable. We do not see enough colors in our human eyes to be able to fathom the brightness of the dark energy or dark matter. And so when I look at this card of the moon, in which the moon is the only thing you can see amongst all this darkness, and the perspective is from inside of a cave, right? It feels very much like there are things that you do not know about yourself and about what work you're doing that will come to light. But the best way for it to come to light is after you've gone through the dark night of yourself. Because if you can conquer and improve and heal yourself, you are more able to conquer. And I don't even want to use that word conquer. You are more able to heal outside of you. How much work do you really think you can do and accomplish if this isn't taken care of? How do you expect to help other people find a more equitable future if you are not yourself equitable? How can you expect other people to imagine a world that's post-carceral if you yourself can't do it? If you can't imagine it, right? Like if you can't imagine what love every day feels like, how can you help other people imagine what love every day feels like? Same thing for everything. Peace, community, love, all of those things. You've got to feel them first in order for you to pass that along. And that does require that you go deep within, asking the hard questions and doing the hard work that we like to call shadow work. The next card is the stork, which we've already kind of low-key talked about it in terms of something that was created. Something that is really important to us, something that has been birthed. And the stork is not holding a baby, but it's got a little sun in the background, and it's walking through a very green field. And so it feels very much like there's something new that's coming, and there's something that is being kind of mulled over. Even if it's just a concept in the back of the mind. I think especially about how really brilliant pieces of legislation get developed, right? It starts with like, I never thought about this issue from that perspective. And now I need to go and do some research. And now I need to go and find out from so-and-so this information. And it might take, like a week to do this, or it might take several years to like come up with this new idea. But like the fact is it's happening, right? There's something new that is going to be born, but it's in that process. And then our last card from this Oracle deck is the Crossroads. And we see a person who is dressed in a blue dress with a big old beautiful afro. and they are standing at the lip of a crossroads, which very interestingly looks like part of the Tree of Life. And it's a black cement road, and there are 4, 5, 6 trees in the background with either a rising or a setting sun, however you want to see that. And they are walking towards the direction of the sun, which if it is setting, then it is setting west. If it is rising, it is rising east. It feels like it's setting. So I'm going to say setting sun to the west. They are walking to westward. And that is, I'm asking myself with the card. It just feels like this is the time for a major personal transformation. In order for you to continue doing the work and or to birth this new idea, in order for you to really catalyze your efforts, it is going to involve you taking some time to deal with the heart space. There we go. I was wondering why I was getting all stuck in there. Okay. Blue in chakra typically means throat. The green in chakra typically means heart. The orange in chakra means the sacral, and the red in chakra means the root. And right now we see the throat is sitting at the crossroads of the heart, right? So there's something that we're either not saying or unable to say because of how much it means to us in our heart. And it is related to the sacral, which is very much about our reproductive organs, and the root, which is about what makes us feel like we are in this world, what makes us feel like we are present in the moment. And so learning how to navigate what's in the heart, it's what's going to bring us to our ability to create, what's going to bring us to that creative point and allow us to feel ourselves as a whole beings who are capable, who have the power and the ability to create something new. Now, there are many different ways to say chakra. I know that is a very simplified, watered down version of how chakras work, but we're just going with what time we have available. So I'm not going to break everything down. But let's go take a look at what they said about the moon in this book. Oh my goodness. There's no numbers. There are numbers. They're very much at the top in a font I cannot read. So let me get 32. Yeah, there we go. All right, it says 32. The beauty of the melanated in the sight of the light of the moon is a vision of dreamy loveliness. The moon card illuminates all the praise, recognition, and accolades that come with the use of imagination and creative emotions and intuition. It can represent looking strikingly attractive in an area or to someone and receiving attention or psychic downloads from universal spirit or peers. So keep shining. So I think that still fits with what I gave for the moon, in which I was talking about what's unseen and what can be seen and how bright even dark spaces can be, right? I'm very much someone who considers black a very bright color, which I know is hard for some people to kind of agree with. I love black. Obviously, I'm wearing black, and y'all probably be wearing black in every video I do. But if black, and by extension, my blackness is a metaphor for the universe, I think that we are doing something very magical and very powerful right now. In particular, Black Americans are doing something, and it's something that's related to what our ancestors did, but with the advances in technology and the advances and our ability to organize thanks to technology, we are getting to do something wholly unique in our generation. We are able to take the resources of the entire globe and access them very quickly, and to mobilize very quickly using our technology, and to expand and advance ideas that are extremely diverse, that aren't just only in defense mode, but in offense mode and in alternative forms of offense activism that isn't just purely about fighting the opposing group, but about completely transforming our day-to-day lives. I'm thinking TikTok. I'm thinking about the soft life. I'm thinking about this effort that is being put in to, no, I'm going to learn how to grow my own food. And I'm going to learn how to survive with or without your technology, with or without your permission. I'm going to learn how to live off the land. And I'm going to learn how to live a life in which I am the priority, which is really liberation within this lifetime, is learning how to live a life in which I am my own priority and I am not at anyone else's whim, right? So that there, I think it works. The next card is the stork, and it's 17, and we were talking about something, feeling like it's coming into being. And it says here, the stork is a symbol of change and movement. When the stork is still, he is just that, still. But when he takes off in flight, the stork moves with great power and grace. This card appears when a change of some sort is on its way to you. If you've recently been experiencing some feelings of stagnancy and confusion, that time is now coming to an end and forward motion is abound. So very much about, like we were talking about, you are mulling over something and moving towards something new, and it is coming. It's just going to take some time. So you're just working your way through it. And it sounds like it's going to be a powerful ending. And for crossroads, it says, at the crossroads, you'll be taking a trip, either literally or figuratively, as it is time to make a decision. The goddess of the crossroads has many opportunities or options to choose from, with little guidance to do it. Being the card of free will, this card represents making a choice, but also having feelings of doubt, worry, and hesitation arise about doing it. But you can't stay here. You have to choose. And even though it is what is beyond that choice that gives you a sense of nervousness, know that it is also what is beyond that choice that will take you to your next destination. So in terms of choice, right? And in terms of movement, if you decide not to work on your inner healing, if you decide not to focus on love and joy, that is still a choice, right? Even if you're like, but this thing happened and there's like no way to like postpone it because I'm not in control of the timing. The thing happened and I have to respond. You're still making a choice to respond because you have a choice not to respond. And in that moment, when you make that choice, you are prioritizing that thing over your health and your wealth. And when I say wealth, I mean your like wealth of resources, your wealth of energy, your wealth of love, your wealth of life, right? You're taking your pearls and you're saying, but I have to give them my pearl. They set it up so that I have to give them my pearl. There's like no way to reschedule this pearl. I have to give them that pearl. And to, again, as this is a liberation reading, you're allowing them to take that pearl. And to be 100%, right? To be 100%, they take their pearls back all the time. How many times have people not showed up to debates? And I'm thinking right now specifically of Texas and Beto and Abbott refusing to show up for the second debate. He said, nope, that's my pearl and I'm taking it, I'm gonna walk with it. Beto showed up. And yes, it told us something about, Beto showing up, but like Abbott deciding not to do that was a decision. He could have showed up. The people wanted him to show up. He did not show up. He took his pearl and he walked away. So if these folks can take their pearls and walk away, why can't we? Right? If we can't take our pearls back, even at the smallest level, if it's like, I cannot make today's meeting, I'm sorry, I need today. Right? So that's everything that happens is a decision. If you want to be more powerful in what you're doing, there's this real need for you to enter yourself, do the shadow work, get in there, ask the hard questions, and start working on the healing and start gathering all your pearls back up and seeing where they really need to go, right? Start being in your body, feeling your body. And if you can work on that, if you can connect your lower body to your top of your body, right? If you could start working on all of that, that is going to give you so much power. But if you decide not to, just recognize that that's a decision that you've made. That's a choice you've made. And who knows what's down that road? We kind of already know what's down that road because we've been feeling it. Like we know it. If you're tired, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like you already know what's down the road. It's you deciding to keep going down that same path instead of saying, you know what? No, I'm going to try something different now. I'm going to try a whole different thing, see what happens. Take a risk. Isn't that one of these cards? Yes, it is. Take a risk. I'm going to take a risk. So that is the reading. I'm going to give you one affirmation card, and I'm not even going to, see, I'm not even I'm not going to do too much of a shuffle on this one. I'm just going to ask if they got one for me. You got one for me? You got one for me? Just one affirmation they can take with them into the week. That's one right here. Up, 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 up. I love it. Your card is Abel Nimba Harvest, and the number is 43. It's a picture of a person who is got both hands up in the air. They are quite literally dancing. They got on one side of them eggplants in a basket, on the other side corn in a basket. They got 3 other smaller versions of themselves dancing and moving around. Harvest is a beautiful card to receive, and I'm glad that you've received this card. It says Abel is a Baga fertility goddess, and Nimba is her living spiritual healing mask. Together, they embody the sacred feminine in abundance. Someone, somewhere, got a baby thing going on. It's too much is coming up. Yes, it can be a fertile idea and creative movement, but I think this card is kind of going ahead and knock it down just in case I didn't share that message. Somebody might either be getting pregnant or about to have a child, and congratulations to you. It says, Abel Nimba's guidance, give thanks. You are being blessed. It is harvest time. Pray attention. A season of great harvest is a season of great epiphanies. You are prospering. Harvest is when you reap the blessings that you have sown. The harvest is not just the fulfillment of your dreams, but the creation of them. Your thoughts, your imagination, the blessing of you being here another day on this earth, that is all harvest. With seeds of generosity, love, support, and goodwill can you sow in your community to create a bountiful harvest for all. And the affirmation, we are always prospering. I don't have nothing else to say. I don't have nothing else to say to that card. This has been an hour and 20 minutes. I hope that you enjoyed it. We are always prospering. Have a good night.